The scanner beeped once, then it beeped again, then it stopped beeping entirely. Officer Threll Vashka's antennae froze mid-twitch, her 4 eyes locking onto the holographic display hovering above her palm scanner. Behind her, the checkpoint line of 43 travelers. Krizelli merchants, Voth diplomats, a family of Asun refugees, had gone utterly silent because the alarm klaxons that were supposed to sound had instead cut to a dead, hollow quiet. "Ma'am," Threll said, her voice cracking, "I need you to step back from the console." Elena Reyes didn't move. She stood exactly where she'd been standing for the last 90 seconds, one hand resting on the strap of her travel bag, the other loose at her side. Around her, 6 checkpoint guards had their weapons raised. Not at her, but at each other, uncertain, their command structure apparently dissolving in real time. "Is there a problem?" Elena asked. Threll's mandibles clicked together, a Krizelli tell for genuine fear. "Your identification," she whispered. "It's not registering as Elena Reyes. Civilian, it's registering as." She stopped, looked up, looked at the 2 Voth diplomats now backing toward the far wall. "It's registering as a Sovereign Directive, Class 1, the kind that overrides planetary command authority." Somewhere down the corridor, a station-wide comm channel crackled open without anyone touching it, and a synthesized voice, ancient, patient, and utterly without emotion, spoke a single sentence that would end 4 wars before nightfall. Directed confirmed. "Welcome home, Warden." But none of this had begun that way. 3 days earlier, Elena Reyes had just wanted to catch a transport. She was 29 years old, 5'6", and had spent the last 6 years working cargo logistics on the Kethrani trade ring. A job that mostly involved yelling at loading drones and occasionally punching a jammed conveyor belt back into working order. Nobody on the ring knew she'd once been anything else. That was the point. Elena had grown up on Earth during the reclamation years, back when humanity was still clawing its way back onto the galactic stage after the Threshold Wars nearly erased them from every star chart that mattered. She'd enlisted at 17. By 22, she was part of a program most humans had never heard of, the Interim Wardens, a joint peacekeeping initiative between Earth and the few alien coalitions who'd actually bothered to negotiate with humanity instead of writing them off as savages with good aim. The program had been shut down 5 years ago, officially disbanded. Unofficially, Elena still carried the ID chip in her wrist that nobody had ever bothered to deactivate, because nobody in the current bureaucracy remembered the codes even existed. She hadn't thought about it in years. Not until the checkpoint at Velessa Station, when a bored Krizelli officer scanned her wrist out of routine procedure, and the entire building's security architecture recognized a designation older than most of the guards standing in that room. The first rehook came fast. Nobody at that checkpoint had any idea what they'd just woken up. Threll Vashka had been a checkpoint officer for 11 years. She'd processed smugglers, defected diplomats, even a rogue AI stuffed into a maintenance drone once. Nothing had prepared her for watching her own scanner lock up, refuse override commands, and begin broadcasting an emergency signal to every Allied vessel within 4-star systems. "What is a Warden?" she demanded, weapon trembling in her grip. Elena finally moved, slowly, hands visible. The universal language of, "I am not your enemy. It's a title," she said, "from a program that doesn't exist anymore. I didn't ask for this to happen. I just wanted to buy a transport ticket to a Thara colony." "The signal says otherwise," Threll snapped. "It says you have authority to suspend hostilities across the Krizelli Compact, the Voth Assembly, and 11 neutral trade zones. Do you understand what that means?" 3 fleets are currently repositioning based on your identification alone." Elena's stomach dropped. That wasn't supposed to be possible. The Warden protocols had been designed as an absolute last resort. A failsafe installed after the Threshold Wars nearly wiped out 3 species simultaneously, giving a single human warden temporary authority to force a ceasefire if diplomatic channels collapsed entirely. It was meant to be activated only in catastrophe, which meant somewhere right now, something catastrophic was already happening. She hadn't caused this. She'd triggered it. The truth stunned the entire galaxy within the hour. 3 light-years away, at the disputed mining colony of Barish, a Voth strike fleet had opened fire on a Krizelli research vessel over a resource dispute that had been simmering for 6 months. 82 Krizelli scientists, 40 Voth Marines, all of it seconds from becoming the opening battle of a war that would drag 6 species into the fire. And the emergency broadcast systems, in their desperate search for any authority capable of halting the engagement before it spiraled, had found Elena's dormant credentials and done what dormant credentials of that classification were designed to do: declare her the only living being with the legal standing to order both fleets to stand down. The problem was that nobody, not Elena, not the checkpoint guards, not the fleet commanders 3 light-years away, had any idea whether that order would actually hold. "I need a secure channel," Elena said, her voice steady even as her pulse hammered. "Now," Threll stared at her, "you're not seriously considering 82 scientists are about to die because 2 species can't stop posturing long enough to talk. I have 30 seconds of authority. Nobody's tested in 5 years. And if I don't use it, I'll spend the rest of my life wondering if it would have worked." That was the moment Threll Vashka made a decision that would define the rest of her career. She lowered her weapon and opened the channel. What followed was not a speech. Elena had learned long ago that speeches got people killed. Too much time for someone impatient to pull a trigger. Instead, she spoke 11 words directly into the command channel connecting both fleets. Her voice broadcast across a war about to begin. "This is Warden Reyes. Ceasefire. I am already here." Silence. 3 full seconds of it. An eternity when weapons are charged and fingers are on triggers. Then the Voth fleet commander's voice cut through, incredulous. The Wardens were disbanded. This designation shouldn't exist. And yet, Elena said, "Here I am." The Krizelli research vessel's captain, Dr. Nirena Osk, a name Elena would remember for the rest of her life, broke in next, her voice raw with disbelief and something like hope. "If this is real, Warden, then you have authority to demand an independent investigation into the mining rights dispute. We accept mediation." The Voth commander hesitated. Humans had a reputation among the coalition species. Not for overwhelming strength, but for something stranger and harder to dismiss. An almost irrational refusal to let a bad situation stay bad. Wardens weren't chosen for firepower. They were chosen because humanity, more than any species in the coalition, had proven itself willing to stand in the middle of a fight and simply not move. "Stand down," the commander finally ordered his fleet. "We accept mediation under Warden authority." 82 scientists lived. 40 Marines went home. And across 6 star systems, footage of a 5'6" cargo logistics worker halting a war with 11 words began to spread faster than any official statement could contain it. 3 weeks later, Elena stood in a reactivated Warden briefing room, the first one convened in 5 years, facing a council of species who, until recently, hadn't believed a single human deserved that kind of trust. "You could have let the system fail," said Dr. Osk, now seated across from her as a permanent liaison. The protocol was old, untested. You had every reason to assume it wouldn't work. Elena thought of Threll, of the checkpoint gone silent, of 82 names she'd later learned by heart. I had every reason to try, she said. That's different. The council chamber fell quiet, not the frightened silence of a checkpoint scanner locking up, but something else entirely. Respect, earned the only way it ever truly is. Not through power, but through the willingness to stand still when everyone else was ready to run. Outside the chamber windows, a new fleet formation was already taking shape. 6 species, 1 banner, and a title that had almost been forgotten. Warden and somewhere on a quiet checkpoint desk on Velessa Station. A scanner that had gone silent 3 weeks earlier came back online with a single line of text still glowing on its display. The words that had started it all directed confirmed. Welcome home.